guys, welcome back to Basil Designs Resin with Rachel. And for this project, this was a super easy resin pour project. I decided let's use some stuff that I have on hand, and I have quite a bit of those paper decorative napkins. I have saved them up over the years, so I was like, you know what, with the 4th of July holiday coming up, I have some Patriotic ones. So I was like, why don't we just put those in some coasters and see how it turns out? So that's what we're going to do today. As you can see here, I poured up about 4 ounces of resin. I had let it sit for a while to get some of those bubbles up to the surface, and I'm pouring about 1 ounce into each coaster. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, please support me and my passion for crafting in resin by giving me a like and subscribe. I really appreciate you watching today. For those of you who are subscribed to my channel, thank you so much for the continued support. So what I did here, again, I just poured about 1 ounce into each coaster, and then I'm going to spray it with my alcohol to pop any of the bubbles that have come to the surface. So I'm really excited to see how these napkins look in the resin. So I have a coaster template that I made for whenever I use my cork, right? So whenever I'm finishing up my coasters and I put cork on the bottom, I had to have some kind of round template to use so I knew exactly the size to cut my cork. So that's what I used to cut my paper napkins. So I cut my napkins in the circle shapes that was perfect for my coasters. And I separated the 2 layers. They're 2-ply napkins. So I'm only using the layer that has the print and the color on it. The other one I just went ahead and tossed. So as you can see, I very gently place them into my coaster. Now, remember, what you're seeing is the back of the coaster. So I put them upside down, and I did not push them down into my resin. That's the one thing I learned that you don't want to do. I very gently put it on the top and then let the resin absorb that napkin. Because if I were to push them down, that's when you would start to create some bubbles underneath. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just very, very lightly kind of tapping and making sure that it's even and that I do not have any little bubbles hidden under there. And then I got them kind of to the position that I wanted. So then I'm just going to spray with some alcohol and let sit for 24 hours. Okay, well here we go. These coasters have sat for a full 24 hours. They look pretty good. I didn't see any bubbles in them. So what I did was I went ahead and mixed 4 more ounces of resin, and I put some white pigment in it. I like to use the Let's Resin Ocean White. That gives me a really, really nice white color that's pretty dark, right? It's not like a translucent white. And I also mixed some shimmery white mica powder in my resin because I wanted a little bit of a shimmery effect to it. Again, I only mixed 4 ounces of resin, and I'm pouring 1 ounce into each coaster. Something I have learned when making my coasters is if you're not careful and measuring your resin correctly, you're going to have uneven coasters. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you're going to try to sell your coasters, and I like mine to be in a set of 4, I want them all to be pretty even in size, right? So when I first started out making my resin coasters, I really didn't pay attention, and I would just kind of eyeball it. And I might have 1 or 2 coasters that turn out really, really thick, and then the other 2 are not so thick. So you definitely want a high quality product, especially if you're going to be trying to sell it. So I just try to make sure that my coasters are even. And the best way to do that and to ensure that is to pour an equal amount of resin and then make sure that you pour an equal amount into each coaster. Okay, so I'm just going to finish up pouring the resin into these. Again, this is the back. Remember, we are seeing the back of the coaster. I'm going to spray them with alcohol and let them sit for 24 hours. All right, guys, are you excited to demold these? They have sat for another 24 hours. They have fully hardened, and they are ready to pop out of the mold. So let's see how these guys look. You guys, they turned out pretty cool. I was worried. This is the first time I have put a paper napkin in resin, and I am impressed. They actually turned out really good. Again, I poured these a little bit thinner than I normally pour my coasters, but I really like how they turned out. They are definitely pretty festive, and I think they will be perfect for the 4th of July holiday. This was a simple pour. Totally easy. If you have napkins on hand, consider putting them in some resin because this was an easy project to do. And they turned out really cool. So again, if you are one of my subscribers, I really appreciate you tuning in and watching my video and for your continued support. If you are not subscribed to my channel, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button because you'll never know what I come up with next. And I really do appreciate it. So we'll see you at the next resin pour.